Quick MPW-2 bring up video for you today. In this video we're going to be looking at the first step of the process, which is running the characterization to get a custom config file, one for each chip, and using that file you should be able to then go on to stage 2, which is trying your own firmware using that custom config file to get the GPIO working. So the first thing to note is the way that the board is connected. Make sure that you've got everything set up as it is in this picture, and then we need 2 USB plugs. The one on the top is going to be programming the STM32, and the one on the bottom gives you access to the PYBFLASH USB drive where the Python firmware is copied that runs the characterization program. The other thing you've got to make sure is that the 3-pin headers are both set to hat in this configuration so that the Nucleo board can power the PYBFLASH top board. So I'm just starting by showing you where my repository is at, so you can see the head of that repository, and it's cloned from PYBFLASH Caravelle board, and I'm inside firmwarevex/nucleo, and here's the diff of the makefile. I removed that top export line. I'm using the correct serial device for the STM32 and the correct flash drive for flash, and I had to change that to reset from connect under reset. And I like to use dev serial by ID so that as things are plugged in and out, I don't need to keep changing to change TTA, TTY, ACM2 or so on. I'm just using this symlink that gets automatically updated. So the first step is to flash the STM32 and copy the files over, the Python files. And I found that I needed to do this pretty much on every power cycle, and it doesn't always work. So after the compilation happens, and you'll need to install some dependencies, so check out the repository for the dependencies. You see that PYBFLASH pop up, and then it does the copy, and that works in my case, but it often doesn't work. So then let's just take a look at those files. If it doesn't work, then you can copy with make copy to, and they should copy to that wherever it's mounted, and you want to check that they're there. And then we can start the REPL. There is an automatic makefile step to do this, but I couldn't get it to work, so I do it by hand. Import ioconfig, then ioconfig.run. Now just ignore me opening a shell here. Ignore that. There we go. You see that WinBond SRAM not found? That is happening to quite a few people. So if that happens, just try it again and make sure that the board's connected as I've shown, and also make sure that you've got a good USB cable providing power and data to the STM32. So I left everything in exactly the same situation, and I just run exactly the same commands, and then the next time you'll see that it works. And one theory we've got is that power cycling can corrupt the files in PYBFLASH. And another idea we've got is that sometimes if you don't have a good enough USB cable, it can prevent things from working. But I think there's maybe even another thing going on that causes that SRAM not found error. So one reason I wanted to put this video together was just so that you can see that it does work. Got to zoom in on the actual board setup here. Sorry for the kind of blurry video quality there. And you see it's taking quite a longer time now to do this flash in Caravelle, which is a good sign. And we got the first pass there. So that then repeats for all 38 IOs, and every time you get this timeout it has to start back from the beginning, so it takes quite a long time. It takes about 10 minutes on this one. And what I'll do is I'll just, after the first few GPIOs are finished, I'll run it at much higher speed so you can see it. finishing correctly. Okay, so this is on fast forward. And then once that finishes, we can copy the config. So you've got to quit out of the REPL here, control right square bracket. And then it's not conf, it's config, it's a typo. And in this case, it hung for some reason on my computer. So I unplugged and replugged the USB hub. And this is what the GPIO config def.py looks like. So it should look like this. If you do have any unknowns in there, you can still use the file, but you'll need to change the unknown into H independent or H dependent. And just to show you the power supply considerations, I've got the Nucleo attached to port 4 of the USB hub here. And it often gets up to 290 milliamps. So you need a decent USB power supply and you need a good USB cable, otherwise you could experience some weird errors due to brownouts and voltage drops. So I hope that video is useful and it helps you in your journey to bringing up MPW-2. I'm really keen to see your designs working, so keep us informed and let us know how you're getting on.